Hi, it's Nikki, and we're back for Small Business Saturdays. Right now, we have a special guest this Saturday. Her name is Sandra Garcia. Hey, Sandra,
Hello.
how are you
Happy
doing?
Saturday.
Happy Saturday. You look gorgeous.
Thank you. This lighting for some reason is working today.
I know, I need to borrow that light. But thank you so much for joining us. As you know, we've been building a relationship over the past decade, but more so recently. And I've grown to admire your know-how in the marketing world. And I thought it would be very helpful to share some tips with everyone today. So can you please introduce yourself and tell everyone what you've been up to for the past 4 months?
Oh man, the past 4 months. The last 4 months seemed like 3 years in one, actually 4 years in one. So my name is Sandra Garcia, as Nikki mentions, and I am the founder and the owner of Encounter Your Potential, which is a New York City-based marketing, branding, and diversity consulting firm. And I am primarily working with small business owners, but I also say with business leaders, visionaries as well, and helping them to encounter their max business potential, which really means how do we all make money and how do we use the power of marketing in order to make money?
Right. So what I've noticed that during COVID-19, based on clients that have reached out to me, they have this concept of stopping and waiting. How do you feel about small businesses that have decided to stop and wait?
No, why? The world around us has not stopped. Things have just changed and shifted. So we are still in need of groceries. We are still in need of the toilet paper that was in such high demand at the beginning of the pandemic. So the world around us has not necessarily stopped, it just has shifted. So even travel, for example, we're not really getting on planes, but people are getting itchy and finding local ways to explore and to get away. So, what I would say to small business owners or just business owners in general is to just adjust your strategy and to continue marketing because it's so critical. The thing that changes is really your messaging, your creative, and how you get people to take action. But you should still have presence, you should still be in the marketplace. You just need to change how you're engaging with people.
So everyone, you heard what Sandra said. You are not to stop. You are to pivot and become more creative and think of different angles to explore during this very tough time. So I have a small business. Do you recommend that I focus more so on social media, ads? What is the primary strategy I should use during these times?
Mm-hmm. I think that strategy is dependent on everyone's business. So there's no one size fits all. This is what you need to do. What we can all bet on right now is that digital is the way to go. Now, digital doesn't just mean social. Digital can be that you might need to up the ante on your email marketing. You need to maybe up the ante on your video marketing. There are so many things that fall under digital marketing, but people tend to just lean on social media, which is great. But also, email marketing can be a super powerful tool because most people are checking emails on their mobile devices. So that means your message is going directly into their phone, something that we check way too many times within an hour. So it could be a really powerful tool. Also, YouTube is the number 2 search engine, and that is also an underutilized tool because people are thinking Instagram, Instagram, Instagram.
That is true. And also Pinterest is a very powerful tool as well that people don't necessarily explore. So back to digital strategies. So you're basically saying that a person should tailor their, I guess, their digital plan based on the type of business they have. So you offer those type of services. How do you start this process to determine whether someone should focus more on social or more on video or ads or emails, etc.? What is
Mhm.
your thought process as you're doing that?
Yeah, so I take it back. So before you are trying to market, you need to know who you're marketing to. So who is your audience? And then also, what are your business goals? A lot of businesses are lacking or have not revised or reviewed their business strategy in so long. And if you think about how we manage ourselves personally, we create vision boards and set all these beautiful New Year resolutions at the beginning of the year. But how often are we really revisiting those resolutions, those goals monthly or even quarterly, right? Very rarely. And we're doing the same thing with our businesses. We're not setting goals. And where I like to start is, what are your overall goals? What are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to increase revenue? We probably all are. But how are you trying to do that? But first, who is your audience and where are they spending time? So if I'm an interior designer, then my audience probably is spending time on Pinterest getting ideas for how to design, layout, color schemes, things like that. So Pinterest is a very visual place, and Instagram is a very visual place to be. Would I recommend Twitter? Probably not. What I think is important is omni-channel presence, meaning that you should have presence across platforms and your brand should be consistent across platforms. But it is also important to more heavily rely in the areas where your audience is already spending time so that you can directly connect with them and build a relationship.
And how do you necessarily determine where your audience is spending time? You just kind of like go on each platform and see who's there and what their interaction with that platform is. How do you measure where your audience is um,
Mhm.
if you're a new business or a current business struggling during COVID?
Yeah, I think data, analytics, and insights are so important. So we know how to monitor data and analytics in terms of likes and views. And I think it's important to take a look at that data, experiment, also look at how other like businesses are performing and doing where they exist and adapting some of that. But more than anything, is really trial and error if you're doing it on your own. And it's constant testing and shifting and changing to figure out what your sweet spot is. The first place to start would be to look at what your competition is doing. That way you're also in a space where your competition is existing, so that if someone is looking for something and your competition maybe has been in business for 5 years longer than you and doing better, then be in the same space, so at least you're in the playing field, right? And then from there, start to experiment and see what works best for you. But by looking at what your competition is doing that's a little bit more seasoned, then you can probably just kind of get ahead in terms of like where you should be.
I love that. So basically what you're saying is you should have diversification across digital platforms, whether it be social, ads, video, emails. You should not just be doing one thing. And that's what I think a lot of small businesses are doing. Sometimes they just do one thing and they're not understanding why it's not working, but literally you have to spread yourself across the digital platform and do a little bit of everything. And like Sandra said, find that sweet spot. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for that. I'm looking at the comments to see if there's anything interesting. Someone mentioned Zoom for marketing. I'm not quite sure how that would work. Uh, uh,
Well, I think right now, in terms of Zoom and also just if you are a professional service like you're doing right now, Nikki, being able to educate, inform, and to share knowledge with your audience is also a form of marketing. So it's thought leadership. And if we kind of share our expertise, then people learn that you are good at this or that. And then they may just be further interested in taking advantage of your services.
that's
And mhm.
That's a good point because initially when I started this, it was more to inspire women and minority-owned businesses to actually start because I saw that a lot of people were really upset about either one losing their job or being furloughed, and I've always been about um, various streams of revenue. So the whole purpose of this really was to inspire other people to start their business. I didn't really look at it as a marketing tool, but it's become one. And it's just so funny how when you're doing something that you genuinely love, that's what happens. So can we talk about that being, authentic and organic in your approach in marketing and how that makes a difference?
Yeah, so thought leadership is an underutilized marketing tactic. So presenting yourself as an expert in what you do, and you can't fake really being an expert because you get uncovered really quick. And also being able to share expertise doesn't mean that you're giving away your services. It can just be that you're giving people just a nugget of what is necessary and giving them a breadcrumb or a teaser of what it is that they want so that they can come to you for what they need. So that is something that I share all the time. Give people what they want so they can come to you for what they need. And that is what thought leadership can be looked as, is being able to share that you're an expert, give them enough to know that you are an expert, you know what you're talking about, and that you own your playing field. And if they want to further build a relationship with you, then they need to sign up for your services.
I never thought about that. I
Mm-hmm.
never knew about the term thought leadership. I love that. And I'm going to actually do some more research on that. Again, I started this really to give a platform for people that I know like you to kind of help others grow and build their businesses, because I honestly want everyone to be an entrepreneur. I know everyone says, oh, it's not for me and I'm more of an employee. But no, I think everybody has something that they really love. And if they were so passionate about it, they would want to turn it into a business. And I just hope to inspire people to do that. So moving forward, so I know we talked about digital marketing. How do you feel about old school grassroots marketing, like your billboards, your flyers, just hand-to-hand stuff? How do you think that's going to work during COVID-19, and should businesses utilize that tactic?
Yes. So interestingly enough, the job that I was at before I decided to just give it all up and become a full-time entrepreneur was a role at Clear Channel Outdoor, which is a billboard company, a legacy, well-known billboard company. And what is interesting about billboards, it depends on where you live. So a place like New York, people are not spending time in Times Square. And people are not necessarily out and about walking around to see your outdoor marketing. But in places where people are heavily reliant, do you still see me?
You're dark, but you'll come back. We can wait a moment. As you know, you guys, it's the internet, and sometimes we have technical difficulties. As you can see, my lighting is not as grand as Sandra's lighting. I need to find out what ring light she uses.
Well,
no, you're
somebody was trying to FaceTime me just now, so that just messed everything up.
You know what?
But
I learned that I have to turn off my iMessaging on my laptop when I'm doing these things. But again, it's trial and error. We're learning as we go along, so it's all good.
Yes. But yeah, outdoor advertising depends on where you live. What I would say in terms of old school marketing that will never, ever, ever go away is word of mouth. Word of mouth is going to be the most powerful form of marketing forever and ever. And it may shift and change in the way that it actually takes place, because the reason how word of mouth takes place in the digital world, in a digital space, is reviews, the comments that we leave, how we're tweeting these companies when they do something right, and especially when they do something wrong. So word of mouth, we are quick to tell a friend when something was just awful. And we share also when an experience was great. And people, when trying to try something out, they go to their friends and they're like, hey girl, how was your experience? Would you recommend it? If you say no, they probably won't go and check it out. But if you say yes, then they'll probably more than likely to experience it.
How you're always recommending clients to me. I mean, but I think that I'll be honest with you. At the beginning of the year, I decided to turn customer service into my main priority. I think a lot of times when we have service-based businesses, not like a retail business where I'm selling coffee or selling a product where you customarily have to provide customer service, right? services are a little bit different. We're dealing with personalities. We're dealing with sometimes difficult people. Um, People have unreasonable expectations, but I think at the beginning of the year, I learned that word of mouth is very powerful, and it's very important for me to provide the utmost best customer service to my clients. And in turn, you guys are referring me out. So I think people really definitely need to hone in on customer service and ensuring that not that the customer's always right. You know, we have to be visual here, but to be just very tactful in your tone and how you talk to people and interact with people. I think that's very important.
Yeah,
You can
customer
bring your
centric
next customer.
approach. Yeah, that's so key, and it could just take you so many places. And I say personally, for me, the power of relationships, I speak always to the power of relationships because I've not had to do any kind of paid advertising or marketing for my own business. It has been word of mouth and referrals and the power of relationships.
And you're so professional, Sandra. I love that about you. I've never seen you sweat. You're always very personable and very gregarious, and that's why you're winning right now. And I'm really excited for you. So now it's time to help other businesses do the same thing. So I know you mentioned word of mouth. So do we print out flyers? Do we do posters? Do we do billboards? Do we do digital ads in the subway station or on the train? Like, how do you feel about those outlets as far as marketing is concerned?
Hmm. I don't know about doing that because it's very blanket, right? It's not targeted.
Okay.
Um, what you can do from a grassroots perspective, I would say, is target like businesses. So if you're a beauty based business, and again, having your audience in mind, go to hair salons, barbershops, nail shops, spas in your city, state vicinity and put in whatever flyer, marketing, postcard piece there and ask for permission before you do it or drop your business card, right? But that's more hyper focused and the likelihood of it working is better than just blanket going out into the subway because now you're shooting a dart at the wall and hoping that you catch and you catch one. But it's not really strategic. So I always advise people to be strategic and to work smarter versus just work. So I would say, in the spirit of grassroots marketing, be hyper focused and think about where your customer is, whether that's online or offline.
I love it. So basically, what Sandra is saying is you need to identify your audience. That's like the first step. We don't want to waste our time and hustle backwards by marketing to the wrong people. So identify your audience. She also stated that digital marketing is very essential, and you want to make sure that you're tapping across platforms. So you're hitting social media, you're hitting ads, you're hitting email campaigns, and you're definitely utilizing video because YouTube is one of the #1 search engines. And I don't know how I remembered that. Then we move forward to thought leadership. She said, you know what, brand yourself as an expert. Offer, like someone saying, Zoom tutorials online, or do something similar to this, like using a platform like StreamYard. I know Sandra uses Google Meetups to do a lot of her chats. So thought leadership is very important. And then we talked about this old school grassroots marketing. So word of mouth is really important. And if we are going to do like hand to hand or like billboards, etc., posters, it's better to actually hone in on that audience that we identified at the beginning. So moving forward, what do you think is the next big thing in marketing? I know right now TikTok is really huge. I honestly don't know how I would use TikTok in PR besides doing little dances. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. But what do you think is the next horizon for marketing?
Mm-hmm. Not so much the next horizon, but what to take advantage of right now is video marketing.
Okay.
So just think about consumer behavior, and we're consumers first, always before we're even business owners, we're consumers. How we even make decisions for our own businesses is based on our own consumer behavior. So I would say we have 24 hours in a day, but they seem really short. Are you really reading as much as you should be? Probably not. but you can listen or watch a video and get that same information. So same for your business. Recording video content and information about your business, and then also speaking to your consumer on video is important, and can take you places. And in that video, you can record a video that you can share on social, or video that you can post on your website. I think also now is the time for people to really fine tune their presence everywhere on digital. So it's not so much about trying to do the new thing, but doing the existing things well. So if you have a website, revise your website. If you haven't revised your website in the last year, it's time to do so. Take a look at it. The way that people consume information on digital is by scrolling. So if people cannot scroll to get through your information on mobile devices, which we're all spending our time on, but they need to click through pages like they're on a desktop, your website needs to be updated. So I would say forget being on TikTok or like the latest thing. Just get your website up to speed and going.
Yes, and have an SSL certificate as well. A lot of sites, we have their mobile device site, they have their regular site, but they don't even have like the security on the back end of the site to ensure if someone hacks that everything is not all lost. Well, I just wanted to thank you today for joining our show. Today's a beautiful day in New York, and I know you have other things to do besides doing another chat, but I just wanted to thank you, and I hope that this really helps our audience as they either launch their new business or run their existing business. COVID-19 is not the end of the world, you guys. I know we think like that. Some of us do, but you have to continue to grind and market it and be strategic. And like Sandra said, pivot, with new ideas to cater to this new day and age.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else? Sorry. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience today?
Yeah, so today is Saturday, but I highly respect you and admire your work and your presence in the PR space. You are dynamite. You are to be respected. So
thank you.
So 4 o'clock was blocked out no matter what Saturday had going on. But all in all, COVID is here, but it's also a time for opportunity. So do not be defeated, but instead look at the positive and see what we can pull out of this. And also plan ahead and plan in advance, because we can't just plan for next week or next month. Now is the time where we really are thinking about getting through the winter months and seeing where we can be next year at this time. So plan in advance, because we haven't seen the effects of COVID yet. We have not seen the economical impacts of COVID just yet. So plan not just for the now and for next week, but also for next year.
And I just want to add also, while you're planning, just identify partnerships. And I think Sandra's taught me the importance of partnerships. It's not always about getting paid or money, but sometimes it's about growing with another network. That can be powerful as a paycheck. So build those partnerships and those relationships. People are very open to it right now. But thank you all for joining Small Business Saturdays. We'll be back. And now we're going to have a video next week, because guess what? Video marketing is really important, according to Sandra Garcia. So we are going to have that. And I got a phone call. We're going to have a video person on next week to talk about the importance of content and planning and things of that sort. And thank you so much, Sandra. I'll text you after we get off this call. And happy Saturday, everybody.
Happy Saturday. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye.